Now, with the US-Israel-Iran conflict that is set to enter its fourth day, President Donald Trump has now outlined 4 explicit goals of Operation Epic Fury by the US, with the primary objective being the destruction of Iran's missile capabilities. Trump even said that the strikes were the last best chance to hit Iran. Take a listen into what he had to say.
Our objectives are clear. First, we're destroying Iran's missile capabilities, and you see that happening on an hourly basis, and their capacity to produce brand new ones, and pretty good ones they make. Second, we're annihilating their navy. We've knocked out already 10 ships. They're at the bottom of the sea. Third, we're ensuring that the world's #1 sponsor of terror can never obtain a nuclear weapon, never going to have a nuclear weapon. And finally, we're ensuring that the Iranian regime cannot continue to arm, fund, and direct terrorist armies outside of their borders.
This comes after President Trump came under intense criticism for failing to present what critics call a clear case for the operation to the American public. Trump has previously justified the operation, saying that Iran was attempting to rebuild its nuclear program and could soon possess missiles that were capable of striking the US, a claim that has been denied by Iran's foreign ministry. Additionally, Trump even went on to say that he took the decision to launch a war against Iran because it was the last best chance to stop the country's alleged nuclear bomb program.
This was our last best chance to strike, what we're doing right now, and eliminate the intolerable threats posed by this sick and sinister regime. And they are indeed sick and sinister.
President Trump has also refused to rule out sending ground troops into Iran. Earlier, he had warned that the wider Middle East conflict, the West Asia conflict triggered by US-Israeli strikes, could last more than a month.
We're already substantially ahead of our time projections, but whatever the time is, it's okay. Whatever it takes, we will always, and we have right from the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks, but we have capability to go far longer than that. We'll do it. Whatever somebody said today, they said, oh, well, if the president wants to do it really quickly, after that he'll get bored. I don't get bored. There's nothing boring about this.
All right, let's also take a word from Maso Saleh. He's a journalist and Kurdish politics analyst. He's joining us live from Sweden. Mr. Saleh, appreciate you joining us on the broadcast. First up, to begin with the statement that's coming in from the IRGC wing, it maintains that it will remain defined and that they will continue with the retaliatory strikes. In fact, they've even put out a number as to the number of military strikes that have been hit in these ongoing retaliatory strikes, saying as many as 500 military sites belonging to the US and Israel have been hit. Your statement on the kind of retaliation that we are seeing on part of Iran and the broader message that it is trying to send out other than proactive deterrence on their part.
I think the Iranian regime, as it had threatened before, is using its maximum capacity to create a crisis in the region, in the Middle East, and not only in the Middle East, actually, but in the global economy by attempting, for instance, the closing the Strait of the Hormuz. In this effort, it's also making use of its regional allies forces, including Hezbollah, for instance, or maybe in the near future, Hamas, or their allies in Iraq, in Arabic Hashd al-Shabi. And the response from Israel and the United States to this issue, I think, is natural. However, we should keep in mind it's important that Iran's capacity is limited. So if they are if they have done so far, so they can continue like that maybe for several days or weeks, but it's limited, and we are going to the new phase of this war in coming days.
Yes, and also coming to the statement that's coming in from the NATO chief, who says that the alliance won't be involved in the conflict. In your opinion, are the fears of Europe legitimate at this point, given that the German officials had earlier warned that the Iranian side could very much activate its sleeper cells across Europe?
Yeah, I believe so. I think the Iranian regime is not a reliable regime anymore for the European and for the Western countries. In the 12-day war, the Iranian regime showed that although it may lose personnel, but its defense system and the governing system is or remain intact. So in order to confront this regime, it's not, for instance, to just or maybe to prevent it to obtain the nuclear weapon. It's not necessary, or maybe it's not enough to only destroy the to just kill individuals. It is actually necessary to destroy the whole system, and it's that why the Western countries, like for instance UK or maybe France or in general NATO, are going to join this war against this regime. But I believe so as well that to change this system, the ground force is needed, and actually in air support as well. But how United States and maybe Israel are willing to do that is a question. I believe, based on the information and based on the facts that we see right now in the field, that maybe they are going to use the opposition groups that in the region, the army opposition groups, for instance, the Kurdish or Mujahideen maybe, and in that purpose. But they need, if they want to use these forces in the ground, they need to support them in the air as well.
Regarding the earlier point you mentioned regarding the involvement of Europe, a strong statement that's coming in from Starmer, who says, and I'm quoting that statement that's coming in from the UK Prime Minister, who says that we were not involved in the initial strikes against Iran, and we will not join offensive action now, but in the face of Iran's barrage of missiles and drones, we will protect our people in the region. In fact, he's even gone on to say that President Trump has expressed his disagreement with the decision of the UK government not to get involved in the initial strikes. How do you assess the change in US-UK dynamics going forward? Because Starmer has made it absolutely clear that UK bases will only be used for defensive strikes against Iran.
I think I see a change in the statement of the UK Prime Minister before last week and today, before the war began and today. First, they said we are not going to join this war, or the US and Israel, they are not allowed to use their bases in the region. And now they are saying something which is, I think, is diplomatic, saying to that they are joining to this war. They are when they the US and Israel army are allowed to use their bases, or maybe they are going to defend themselves, it means that they are in this war. And why I think that Iranian regime and the IRGC, they wanted to destroy their bases in Cyprus, for instance. But according to the international law, it is not maybe usual that to say that we are going to attack, for instance, one country, but instead they say we are going to defend our citizens and our bases in the region. Means in general participating in the war. Yeah.